Okay, so hello everyone who has joined, and thank you for the people who came in early. We are right on time. My name is Sama Tulsani, and I welcome all of you on the behalf of the entire team for the International Women's Day celebration of 2021, Empowering Women in the Accounting Profession, jointly held by the Toronto and the British Columbia chapters of ICAI. We would like to start with our ICAI anthem.
Yaesha sukteshu jagrati. Yaesha sukteshu jagrati. Kamam 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 kamusho. Purusho nirvimanaha nirvimanaha. Tadev shukram brahma brahma. Tadevamritamuchyate Tasmin lokaha shitaha Sarve tadunatyadikashcha Etadvaita 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 etadvaita.
Thank you. We have a power-packed and full of inspiration program ahead of us. So without much further ado, I would like to invite and welcome our current chair of ICAI Toronto chapter, CA Sandeep Patkar, to take over.
Well, thank you, Sama. Hope everyone can hear me. Hello and welcome everybody to today's celebration of International Women's Day, organized by Toronto and British Columbia chapters of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. For many of us, as we come to Canada as immigrants, so we can only appreciate the importance of inclusion and diversity at workplace or in social gatherings. From that perspective, International Women's Day holds a significant value and meaning to all of us. And I feel proud and honored to be the first chair in Toronto chapter to sort of acknowledge and appreciate the significance of the wonderful day through the gathering of our chapter members. So thank you for all who have joined us today. Today, whatever small success and personally speaking I have achieved in my life is because of two ladies. My mother, who was a principal in a highly renowned school in Mumbai, and my wife, who is in a leadership position at her office. I have seen these two ladies putting so much efforts in their everyday life at home and at workplace, and are still succeeding at both fronts. And that has always encouraged me to put a little more effort in what I do. In today's session, we have highly distinguished personalities joining us, including our Consul General of India in Toronto, Honorable Srimati Apurva Srivastavaji, our newly elected President, and I would say our inspiration, CA Shri Nihar Jambusariyaji, and our ever energetic Vice President of our Institute, CA and Dr. Debashish Mitraji. Along with us today, we also have few exceptional ladies, other ladies. Carol Bellringer, who is the President and CEO of Canadian Audit and Accountability Foundation, who is also former Auditor General of Province of British Columbia and Manitoba, and has recently been honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from CPA Manitoba. So congratulations, Carol, for that. We also have with us Jaskirat Kaur, who is supporting a great cause as a CEO and president of iPartner India charity in Canada, and Aarti Gadhia, who is excellent motivational speaker and specializes in cybersecurity space. In today's event, we will start with a quick kickoff message from our president and vice president of the Institute. And then we move on to have a very highly intriguing panel discussion for next 45 to 50 minutes, which will be followed by, again, a very exciting session on building your brand by Aarti. Before we move on to first session, let me introduce our newly elected president and vice president of the Institute. And first of all, hearty congratulations to both of them for their stupendous achievement from the chapter and the members of the chapter and the participants here. So congratulations, both of you. Our president, CA Shri Nihar Jambusaryaji, is known to be a man of professional wisdom with a vision and strong organizational skills. He's also a firm believer in all-round inclusive growth of chartered accountants and accountancy profession in general. Our president qualified in 1984 and has been in public practice for more than about 27 years. In the past, he has also served as a chairman of Western India Regional Council of the Institute in 2004 and 5 round, perhaps the time when I cleared my chartered accountancy. Along with a leadership role in many important professional and trade committees, he's also a leader in Professional Accountants in Business Advisory Group of International Federation of Accountants, International Integrated Reporting Council, which is known as IIRC, and the Board of South Asian Federation of Accountants, known as SAFA. I think if I continue talking about our president, it is definitely going to take a full session, so I'll stop now. But I would also like to introduce our enthusiastic and highly committed Vice President Ji, CA and Dr. Debashish Mitra Ji. As a persuasive and intense trainer, Debashish Ji is renowned for his interactive deliberations in accounting and corporate laws. He has trained several officials in many corporate and non-corporate entities, as well as several government organizations. As an avid speaker, he passionately shares his deep and incisive knowledge in India and abroad through various events as a guest speaker. He has also served, and I should say he's serving, several prestigious professional and trade committees across India and internationally. With this, and without a further ado, I would now like to invite our Vice President of the Institute to kick off the session in celebrating International Women's Day. Debashish Ji, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sandeep Ji. Do you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Very, very well. Thank you.
All right. You see, it is about, let me see, 11:40 at night at India. And I don't know what's the time in Canada at this time?
In Toronto, it's 1 p.m. and I'm sure in BC, it's 10 a.m.
Okay. So good morning and good afternoon to all of you. And to all the lovely ladies who I see on the screen smiling, on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, a hearty welcome and congratulations to all of you on the International Women's Day. Yesterday, I and the president, we were in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And we are meeting the Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And he said that, what is something which is a distinguishing feature for the Institute? And we said that we would like, we are very proud that we are a partner in nation building. That to us, you see, the national interest is very, very dear to our heart. There was a meeting just before that, we have this outstation council meetings. And this time the outstation council meeting took place in the month of January in Kerala. At that time, I was not elected the vice president of the Institute. We had the governor of Kerala amidst us. And he was inquiring how many lady members you have. So we said that about 27% of our membership are ladies. He was very much impressed. And you see, and let me tell you now, the lady membership of our institute is on the rise. And we are very, very happy about, this kind of, rise in the lady membership. Sandeep ji was talking about the contribution of his mother and about of his wife in, in his success. My mother expired on the 9th of February, and I was elected the vice president on the 12th of February. And I'm of the strong belief that it is because of my late mother's blessings that I got elected as the vice president. And then continuing with what Sandeep ji was saying, today, there was a felicitation program. I come, by the way, from Calcutta. I'm speaking from Calcutta now. I don't know how many of you have visited that place. Monica Bora, you see, it appears to me that's a Assamese surname. So I don't know whether she's from Assam or not. I also hail from Assam, but I am, you see, basically in Calcutta now. So there was, a big felicitation program organized in Calcutta for my elevation as the vice president. And my wife was also invited. My daughter was also invited. Of course, first of all, what happens when you are at home, people don't give you much importance. So when they saw me, getting all the importance and all the felicitations, there were tears in the eyes of my wife and daughter. And you see, they were so proud of me. So ladies make, so much of your life. And, it is so great to have, ladies around you and you see, encouraging you. Today, the institute has more than 350,000 members and about 8 lakh students. And we are the second largest accounting body in the world. I think all of us, we are aware. And I never get tired in saying that we are not a trade union, we are not an association, we are not a club. We have been set up under an act of parliament on 1st of July 1949, even before India became a republic. So that is the issue. The founding fathers of our nation has so much faith in the profession. That's why you see we are so much dedicated to ensure that you see we continue our role as a partner in nation building. And then the other day there was a recording being made of me, not the other day, before yesterday. I think you have not got the recording, Toronto chapter and British Columbia chapter, about our views on the Women's International Women's Day. And there, the issue arose that, what is happening about women professionals in India? And what is the institute doing for them? Please note, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has a Women Empowerment Committee, which is doing everything possible to ensure that the Chartered Accountant professionals get the center stage. Yeah, the Companies Act 2013, that is the Indian Companies Act 2013, lays down that certain categories of companies, including listed companies, need to have at least one woman director. At the institute, we have a lot of these programs to ensure that we have more and more women directors populating India's boards. I don't know whether you have a similar legislation in Canada, but in India, we have this legislation which has come into force from 1/4/2014. So we are doing everything possible to see the chartered accountants, lady chartered accountants, they are in the boards of various companies. The CPE programs, which I'm sure the Toronto and the British Columbia chapters would be organizing, we are organizing CPE programs for the ladies, for the gents, and you see, we have gone totally virtual. Totally, although now the physical programs are back. For example, the program that I attended this evening in Calcutta was to a great extent physical, but with all the COVID protocols being maintained. So we are doing everything possible to see that the women members, they do really, really well. And the institute does everything possible to enhance the capacity of our women professionals to face the challenges and to also take full advantage of the opportunities that the country provides, not only here, but beyond. And I'm so happy to see so many of you in Canada doing well. So many of you in Canada doing well. You see, it's a matter of great pride for us. And when I see, I talk about members, I also take you to students. We have about 8 lakh students, that is about 800,000 students. And when the pandemic struck, and I heard Sandeep ji or I don't know somebody else, that this is the anniversary of staying indoors. And you see that the temperature is about in -7 or 8 degrees Celsius. That's what I heard Sandeep ji say. In Calcutta, the temperature is hovering around 29 degrees Celsius at this point of time. So you can see the difference in temperatures. But I was talking about the students, when the pandemic struck, and I see in the month of March, the institute, many of you have done the course, studying totally on a correspondence basis. You might have taken tutorial classes. But what we did at the institute, we started having these virtual live classes. And what we did, we made it free of cost for the students, which first of all took a baby step to have only revisionary classes. And then we started having classes for the for the November exams, November 2020 exams, for the foundation, intermediate, and final. And these are all virtual and free classes. Thousands of students started joining the classes. And now these classes are being organized for May 2021 exams. And let me tell you, these classes have suddenly taken off. So the institute is trying its best to take full advantage of the challenge that has been posed before us because of the pandemic. And we have, in many of the courses that we are doing, even the certificate courses, we have gone totally virtual. I would not like to take more of your time. Sandeep ji was telling me that whether 5 minutes is fine with me or not. And I think I have already consumed by 5 minutes. I was in 2 years back in Vancouver, along with the then President Navin Gupta ji. I was really, really impressed by the workings of the British Columbia chapter. And I have heard such great things about the Toronto chapter. Once the pandemic is over, by the way, I took my second jab yesterday of the vaccine. So I am looking forward. So that is the Covishield in India. That is the vaccine developed by Oxford. I don't know whether Canada has given the go-ahead for that vaccine or not. So you see, once things become more normal, you see, many of us, I and the president, we look forward to coming to Canada. But please note, next year, there'll be the World Congress of Accountants. That is the Olympic of Accountants, held once in 4 years. And next year, it is going to be held in the month of November in Mumbai. We expect all of you, or many of you, to be present in Mumbai for that conference. And looking forward to meeting you all as soon as possible. With these words, my heartiest congratulations once more, and wishing you, all of you, great success in your future endeavors. You all of you make us so proud. Thank you very much for having invited me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debashish ji. It's always very exciting to hear you. I think it's something in your voice, and perhaps 5 minutes are never going to work for you. I knew we can arrange a separate session if needed be to hear your exciting stories and encouraging sort of words. Debashish ji, do you know if our president is joining today?
I have no idea. I was with him day before yesterday. I believe he has traveled to Mumbai today. Okay. But if he is not here, I really don't know. I would suggest you carry on with the program. And if he joins, if you see him, ask him to join.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I was also looking around for him, but I have not seen him around. No problem. Right? So, but maybe, you see, the president, let me tell you, why he may or may not join, he also suffered from corona. He has just recovered from the COVID. He's just recovered. And it's the first time he has moved out of Bombay to Delhi about a few days back.
Right.
So the doctors have advised him to take it easy, to go to sleep early and things like this. Maybe, you see, since it's about 12 o'clock at night, maybe, you see, he might be
No problem, no problem.
taking the doctor's advice.
He
right?
has already given his blessings to us and the event, and he wished all well. So hope he has recovered and things will move progressively well on the positive note for you. But before you
The
go,
blessings of the, let me tell you, Sandeep ji, the blessings of the president, the vice president, and the entire council for Toronto and British Columbia chapters are perpetual in nature.
yeah, thank you.
So that's how it is, right? Okay.
So before you
all
go,
right.
just a certificate of appreciation to
Okay.
both of you. I know President has not sort of been able to come, but we will share our small token of appreciation. Again, as you said, it would have been great to have you in person here, but virtually whatever we can do. So thank you so much for coming and in such a late night time. All the best to you, and we are looking for a fabulous year ahead in your vice presidency, and hopefully you'll progress towards presidency as well. Thank you.
So nice of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Take care.
I shall, if Nihal Bhai does not join, I shall convey your greetings to him tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Over to you, Sama.
Okay, on that note, from the blessings of our president and our president, and thank you so much, Sandeep. Let us just kick off our session. It is said that an empowered woman is powerful beyond measure and beautiful beyond description. And as we all know, that empowered women empowers women. So today we have three such prominent ladies with us, who are a true epitome of success. And I know Sandeep has already introduced all of them, but as we listen to them, you will realize that at different phases of their life, they like at various stages of their life, they said yes, even before they could figure out the how. And trust me, it paid off well. Without much further ado, we have with us the Counsel General of India in Toronto, Srimati Apurva Srivastava ji. We have Carol Bellringer here, and we also have Jessie Kaur. Thank you so much, all of you. They are our esteemed panelists for today, and we are so humbled and we are so blessed to have you all here. Okay, so before we start, like, I know you have diverse experiences in your life, and you have been to places, you have met with so many people, so you have a diverse background altogether. Like, for example, Apurva ji, you were with the Embassy of Paris, and then Embassy of Kathmandu, and then now in Toronto. Carol, you are from Montreal, and then from being the Auditor General to from British Columbia and from Manitoba. And Jessie, working with big companies in India to being an entrepreneur and a CEO. Could you all please tell us briefly about your life and how your career journey has been so far? We will start with our Honorable CGI ma'am.
Thank you, Sama. First of all, I want to thank Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Toronto chapter and BC chapter for inviting me here. We have had a very good relationship with them, and I'm sure this is another step to that. And delighted to be here with such esteemed panel of women. We inspire and learn from each other all the time. So regarding my journey, I was born and brought up in Lucknow. My father was a bureaucrat. I mean, the Indian Administrative Services. So, you know, so he wanted one of his children to, follow his footsteps and join the service, like all Indian parents. And, my brothers, I was the youngest. So, my brothers did whatever they wanted to do. So I was the only one left. So I had no choice. So, I was kind of forced to get into civil services. So, and then, if there's this common exam, Union Public Service Commission, where we are all the top civil services are selected. So you have no idea what you will eventually get into, either police or administrative service or foreign service. So when I got into foreign service based on my merit and choices, um, I I never knew anybody who was a diplomat earlier. So my father was in administration, so I used to know a lot of people from police and admin, but never no one from diplomatic services. So I just entered into it without knowing about it. But this journey, I think 19-20 years of journey has been spectacular. You have to learn a language. You have to take a language as specialization. I took French. I was sent to Paris to learn it properly. So my first posting was France. Then I came back to India, did a little SAARC summit, then went back to Kathmandu for 3 years. Again went to Paris, came back to India, did some admin related work, very boring, but you really have to be good at it. Then I was very fortunate to be, chosen by our former External Affairs Minister, Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, as her staff officer. So, I had 3 years of serving with her, for her as a director, doing her Ministry of External Affairs, as a minister. So that was a learning curve, both, professionally and personally. Because you work in a silo. For instance, if I'm posted in a headquarters, maybe I'll look after Americas, or maybe I'll look after, say, Southeast Asia. But when you are working with the minister, you get an overall view, and plus you get to learn with such great person. And then of course I also worked for around 4-5 months with Dr. S. Jayashankar before I came here to Toronto. So this has been my journey so far. Yeah.
That is so inspiring. And now being behind those flags and representing the country, that's great.
I mean, that is, the ultimate thing. Nothing can beat that.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Apurva ji. We go next to Carol. Carol, how has your journey been overall?
Thank you. So you mentioned I'm from Montreal. I have lived in Toronto and Winnipeg, and I'm in Victoria now in British Columbia. But I also spent 6 years in Warsaw, Poland. And my work brought, the travel was significant over my career. The work brought me to Kenya and Tanzania. I was twinned with the Auditor General in Kenya for several years, and we did exchanges and work together, which was life-changing for both of our offices. And I was on the board of the International Federation of Accountants, so I was one of the 2 Canadian representatives on the board for 6 years. So we had meetings everywhere. It brought me to New York and Washington, D.C., to Seoul, to Cape Town, to Beijing, Brussels, Paris, Rome. The last World Congress was in Rome. I'll see later if we have a minute, but I have a picture of meeting the Pope in Rome, which was quite an extraordinary moment. And I was on the board when we voted for the next World Congress to be held in Mumbai. So maybe I will see you all there. Let's hope by November we're able to freely travel. So, when I look back, none of it was really planned. Even getting my accounting designation was an idea I got from my uncle in England, and he was very wise and very nice. And he drove 16-year-old me around, and he had suggested to his sons that they get their accounting designation. He had one. He said, it's not a bad way to spend your time while you're figuring things out. So that's what I did. And then after that, the opportunities just popped up. I'd say the life-changing elements, the living in different cities, being invited onto the IFAC board, I chaired the Winnipeg Symphony during a really tough time, but it was all pure, basically good luck. Having said that, I know that someone somewhere was watching me work really hard, and they saw that I could make a contribution, so they asked. So, that just a quick, there's a lot of conversation about knowing when to say no, and you already mentioned it. I would add it's important to know when to say yes, and to embrace those opportunities and learn and have some fun with it. And with that most recent announcement of the Lifetime Achievement Award from CPA Manitoba, it really came as a big surprise, and it was a former colleague who had brought it forward. And there's it was overwhelming, the comments on LinkedIn of people acknowledging it and congratulating me. And I looked through the list of people doing that, and they're all the people I met along the journey, and they're all the different workplaces all around the world now, and global connections that I've made. And it is seriously thanks to the profession. So it's been a wonderful career.
That's true. Hard work always pays off. Thank you, Carol. And Jesse, how was it? How was your journey before the iPartner India charity began?
So I was born and raised in India. My father was in the Air Force, so we traveled, we were all over the country. Soon after I graduated, I wrote these entrance exams and I got selected in the Life Insurance Corporation of India. It was like a management trainee program. So we were sort of we got expertise in different areas of the industry, but it also gave me a good general management experience, which helped me throughout my career. So I rose within the organization. I was there for a good many years, more than 15 years. And then the industry opened up, the insurance industry opened up in India. And Birla Sun Life invited me to head their pensions and group business. I was the divisional manager of a pensions division in Pune at that time. So it was a very exciting time career-wise. We were getting to start a new. It was a blank canvas, a new company, a new industry in the sense it's a growing industry, and I would get to shape what the industry would look like in the future. So I think that was really interesting for me. Career-wise, it was a great spurt of growth. We did a lot. I was there for about 4 years. But on one side, while the career is growing, the other part, I felt I was becoming very unidimensional. I was really growing in my career, but I was neglecting other sides of me that were valuable to me. I wasn't able to spend enough time with my children, for example. So when the opportunity came, I immigrated to Canada. I had come there for work. I had come here for work because Sun Life is a Canadian company. And I came in springtime. Everything was glorious and beautiful, and tulips were blooming. I'm an outdoors person, so it was like fabulous. So I decided to move here. I remained in the industry. I joined Standard Life Canada as the director, customer relations and sales operations. It was a good work-life balance. I was really happy for that change. I could do other things in my life. But after a few years, it kind of got repetitive. And I was like looking for a change. And I got one when my company got acquired. So at that time, I decided to leave and I wanted to spend some time with my mother. So I spent a year in India. And when I came back, I said, I will start my own, something of my own. So I started my own company. It was a strategic consulting and business process outsourcing. I had a business partner and we ran it for 2-3 years. And after 3 years, we had to decide whether to really scale it up or kind of, call it a day. And my business partner decided to leave at that time. So I said, I should try something that I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to be in a position to give back or do something in the non-profit sector. So I said, instead of doing it something on the side, let me see if I can do it as my main work. And so at that time, I connected with an old colleague of mine, senior colleague of mine from LIC. She had left many years ago, settled in the UK, and she had started this non-profit called iPartner India. It's a global organization. And I asked her, can I do something from Canada? I always knew I wanted to work in India on projects in India. So at that time I said, can I start? And she was really happy to say, absolutely, you can start in India, in Canada. But as it turns out, although they are our partners on the ground, we became an independent charity. And that kind of helped in creating iPartner India Canada. We are an independent charity. We work with children in India for food, shelter, and mainly education. So on today's, we're talking about empowerment of women. Our focus is on empowering girls through education. So that's as far as my, the career changes in my life are concerned.
That's so good to know. And before we have our question for our honorable CGI ma'am, Jessie, I would like to know that what led you to that thought process of starting and initiating a charity of your own, when we know there are so many charities that you could have joined, but how is it so different?
So while I was in Canada, while I was at Standard Life, I used to volunteer with a shelter for homeless youth in Toronto. And I saw the best practices, the way that youth are, so respectfully treated, the programs they have. And I said, if I can somehow apply these best practices and kind of work in India, I always knew I wanted to work in India. So can I do something like that? And the other thing was, every year I would go back to India to meet my family. And I got more and more sensitized to the disparity that I was seeing. The children or someone who's in that state of poverty, it's very difficult to come out. And the only clue is education. So when I was starting out, like we talked about going to, I was connected with my senior colleague. I said, let me see some projects to see if this is something I can handle. And I went to see different projects. I saw the work that was being done. And there was one village I visited. It's in Rajasthan, in Tonk. And there's a community there where the girls are celebrated at birth, because they will provide for their family. They're sent for sex work. So this is intergenerational. And it was heart wrenching. I'm born not very far from there. I was born in Jodhpur. And I said, it's just circumstances. It could have been me. It could have been a daughter of mine. So I said, is there something I can do? Even if I can make a difference to a few children's lives, it's worth it. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I came back, and we sort of worked on creating that charity. A lot of people asked me, why do you want to create? Why do we want to create this charity instead of going for combining with somebody else? And at that time, I said, one reason is we get. One reason is I'm able to, connect the donors, create awareness here, and then bring it to the programs in India, and also get some kind of feedback. What's happening? Well, how is the money being used? And then bring it back here. We were also CRA approved, so we are able to issue donation receipts. But that also means that we have a very high level of accountability. So we are, we have to be very trustworthy and high accountability. And I think that really appealed to me, that kind of being, creating this whole thing that works in a very, very systematic, very accountable way.
Thank you, Jessie. And if any one of you wants to support the charity, we have the link in the chat box already. My next question is to Apurva ji. Apurva ji, in your role, you have always traveled to so many places and met so many people. What, according to you, are the common hindrances that the women face? Like the most common that you have always come across when a woman progresses?
There's always this, social norms which are generally discriminatory. The double burden of balancing career and primary caregiving responsibilities. These also present a significant challenge for the, progress of the women. When you become a mother, for the maternity leave, you have to, if your company is not flexible enough to give you enough maternity leave and later flexible timings, then it becomes very difficult for women to come back to work. Then, of course, there's a powerful sociological and psychological wiring, which means that men are judged by a more lenient standard than women. Women don't have the equal right to goof up for the same mistakes. There's women are judged more. Of course, then there are gender stereotypes and unconscious bias, which we all have to deal with. And then of course I think our expectations, the women's expectations and guilds, they burden us a lot. We want to be a superwoman, we want to be good in everything, which is absolutely not possible because there are just 24 hours in the day. And you want to be the best, at your profession, you want to be the best mother, you want to be the best wife, and for in-laws and everybody, and best friends, and then you want a time for yourself, and it's just 24/7. So it is it I think these are the factors which I think that hinder women's progress. Many of the things are, it's internal, we are only responsible for that.
And Apurva ji, like, because I know you have traveled to so many places and you are mother to two wonderful daughters. So, among all this, while trying to be a superwoman, how did you take care of your mental health?
I have found a very uh, I mean, it's a very easy way, but it's not all, it doesn't work all the time. But I I I schedule everything in my calendar. Even if it's my children's birthdays, their PTAs, of course my official meetings, definitely. Then if you have to send a dispatch, I'll block 2 hours for that. So I find it very useful because I schedule everything. Even my meditation, that's also scheduled. Of if I want to go for a massage, that's also scheduled for once a month. So try and schedule everything. So many of the things, if you schedule everything, then you won't, you if it's in your hands, you won't schedule any other thing at that point of time. But many things are not in your hand. Meetings are fixed by somebody else, so of course then you have to cancel it. But it has worked wonders for me, and I do a lot of meditation and yoga, so that has helped me in retaining my mental health. And I also I have my I have lot of friends, and I try, and again, that is all scheduled, that okay, Saturday night I'll speak to them with now on a Zoom call. So that's a great stress reliever. So for me, everything has to be scheduled, and I do a lot of to-do list. It's a monthly to-do list and a weekly to-do list and a daily to-do list. So then things are much more sane for me then. I have with my experience developed it over the years, but now I think it is fine. I'm that gives me some sanity in my schedule.
Thank you. And now we know the reason of the glow on your face. It's yoga and meditation. So, all women out there. Okay, let's go to Carol now. Carol, what we would like to know from you is, like, while we are progressing, while a woman is progressing, what kind of support do you think is necessary for a woman to go up and achieve greater heights? And how can we make sure we get that support?
And some of that self-care is a critical component in terms of, even just your own support. It's funny, when I do transcendental meditation, and I have for years, and it is a tremendous help to stay calm under stress. And the other thing I started doing, I'm embarrassed to say it out loud, but what the heck, I do Beachbody on demand. There's no Beachbody goal here. But it's a great online exercise program. And in fact, one of the people that I worked with, one of the partners from it was then Pete Marwick in Montreal. His daughter is now a coach with it, so she's our coach. And there's about 50 women who get together every month on a Zoom call, and we share our self-care things. I got involved with a group in Winnipeg. It was Women of Winnipeg, fondly known as WOW. And it was a great support of peers. It was women who were in professional, you had to be in a senior position. And what was astounding from that is, even when you're in a senior position, you need support from somebody. And it was a great way, if you can find a group that you feel comfortable with. It isn't a big time consumer. We would meet for lunch. It was a very unstructured group. And it got me connected to a national retreat in British Columbia, which I then ended up attending every year. And they were the ones that really supported me to apply for the job as Auditor General in British Columbia. And it was really, they were saying, no, go for it, do it, and it's that pat on the back that you need from somebody that you care about. And we have a very informal group of 4 women. We're referred to as the goddesses. We use the phrase loosely. We don't always agree with each other on everything, but they've certainly helped me through some difficult times, and vice versa. So it is, I think, about the people around you. I sometimes look back at the negative twists and turns along the way, and you do have to sort of just take them in stride and learn from them and so on. It goes back to my university years. There was a physics professor who was, I look back at it. At the time, I wasn't angry about it because I didn't know that it was a problem. But he literally forced me out of the engineering program because it was one of those things. Women didn't do engineering, right? So I didn't even see it at the time. We're going back like more than 40 years ago. So I think times have changed today. I think something like that would just be totally unacceptable. But it was a matter of, it was the time where I switched to accounting, and didn't end up in a bad place. But sometimes, you just have to go, where do I feel comfortable? Push it a little bit, but finding the right spot is an important one as well.
Thank you, Carol. Those are really some good suggestions for the women who want to achieve great heights. Jesse, you have this charity that is supporting such a great cause, and like I know you spoke that not having time for your children, but I want to know, like especially being a woman, and like I'm sure every woman here wants to know, how did you balance your personal life and your work life?
I think it's a matter of selecting in and selecting out and having priorities, like prioritizing things like that. So I select in things that are important for me, that are true to my values, that are close to me, and I pay my time, like pay attention to that. And then I select out things, like I select out something like, I'm very choosy about my social engagements, for example. At other times, I can cut down on television or internet, or some things. I make time for things that are important to me. And also, it's a matter of priority. So I have twin children. So when they were little, I mean, they were my priority. I would do everything with them, and that was a joy, and it was the right thing. But as time goes by, it's also valuable to step back and allow them to grow, and it's our responsibility to grow as well. And I think for any short period of time, one gets stretched, but eventually it kind of works out because you are very selective in the things that you put your focus on. And I mean, also, I noticed in our panel, uh, we have meditators. Meditation helps. It helps me as well. So I feel you get more time because you need, meditation kind of gives you that kind of space that clears you. So it gives you more time.
Thank you, Jesse. So I have a note now, select in and select out. Apurva ji, there are so many women out there who just look up to you as a role model, and you are a role model for all of us. What would be that one suggestion that you would like to give the women who just consider you as a role model? Ma'am, you are on mute.
I think first of all, never let your gender define your role. First of all, and you have to take ownership of each opportunity. Be greedy, be ambitious. Don't get guilty, of being ambitious, because many of us, we do, feel guilty about being ambitious. We should not do that. Um, you should be fierce, fearless, and flawed. So and also we have to be very flexible as we go, and never take yourself very seriously. And I recently read something which really just want to quote here. Always keep your standards head and heels high. So I really love that.
That's perfect. Yes, we need to keep our chin up, princess. That's true. And I now have one question that's a common question for all three of you. Actually, I have two common questions, but the one question that, what was that one piece of advice that you received from anyone, like anyone, that helped you prosper in your career, and it just changed your mindset and changed your perspective towards life? We start with Carol.
Oh, sure. I hadn't thought about this one. Um, so, okay, tell me the question one more time.
The one piece of advice that you have received from anyone that just changed your perspective towards life, or that really helped you to excel in your career?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure there was ever any one thing. What I was going to say as my advice out was to say yes to the volunteer work. And I guess where when I moved back from Poland I went back to Winnipeg, and I got a call fairly soon after that, asking me to go on to the Winnipeg Symphony Board. And I said, like, no, like, I'm new back into the city, the kids are back in school, I'm starting a new job, blah 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 blah. And I just said, no, I can't do it. Well, they must have phoned me 5 times, and they said, if you don't do it now, there isn't going to be a symphony, so we really need you to come and help. So I did, and I said, but look, no committees, like, I'll sit on the board, no committees. Well, okay, like, within a year I was chairing the board, and then I had been on the audit committee. But it was one of the most rewarding things. So it was interesting to be in something that's out. So I'd say go outside your comfort zone. Maybe not all the time, but find something that you can do that you enjoy doing, that's a little different from what you're doing every day. And so, I'd say it was, so just to reflect on what did they say to me that got me there, was they asked me to do it, and I knew that they needed me there at that moment. So I was grateful for the push.
Thank you, Carol. Apurvaji, what was that one advice that you received that just changed
No,
your perspective, or one advice you would like to give us?
no, basically there were two, I must say. One was I watched mother gave me that, you do whatever you want to do in your life, but you try your very best, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to fail. It's because it's a learning curve. If you are trying something, just try it, give it your best, and then leave it. I mean, you don't have to succeed, or whatever you are thinking, in whatever level you'll succeed, but it's okay not to be okay. So I think that is one advice which it's really helped me out a lot, because failures doesn't affect me as much. Of course it affects everybody, but not as much. So I think this is fine, that we should accept as we are. Everybody is unique, everybody has their own thing, but gradually, it takes time for you to be sure of yourself, to be confident about yourself, but never let the uniqueness of yourself change, because you are unique, and you have to be, your uniqueness is contributing to the world. So that is what I think, my advice, and I have followed it all the time.
That's exactly what every woman needs now. It's okay to not to be okay. Like, it's okay if we don't be a superwoman.
Yeah.
Especially in our CAs, like when we have attempts, it's so important that we as parents also teach our children that. That's a really good advice. Thank you, Apurvaji. Jesse, what is your advice, or one advice that changed your perspective?
I'll tell you first the advice that I got. So, my father used to always say that you can do anything you set out to do. So, whenever I'm in doubt, or I kind of doubt whether I can do something, I just remember that. So, it becomes like a nice guide for me. The other one is what my sons tell me. They say, you be you, mom. So, be true to yourself. So I really love that. I keep these two. And the third one is just seeing my mother. She went back to university when I was 14 years old. So, seeing her study, work, balance the home, the relationships, children, cooking, everything, it's like so effortless and so efficient. I learned so much from watching her. She was a multidimensional person. So this is these are the wonderful guidances I got.
That's so good to know. We have always seen parents encourage children, but here the children are encouraging the parents. That's so good. That shows the upbringing. So nice to know that, Jesse. And then one last question for again all three of you. If you could sum up your life in a line or two, what would it be? So let's start with Apurva ji now.
Oh God. Okay. So I'm still, I still have, my life is still, I've reached half of my life. So I
Yes,
still
yes,
have my life
like
to go.
the
But
life till now,
I
sorry.
really want, people to remember that, she enjoyed whatever she was doing. I just want to enjoy whatever I'm doing. Just want to have fun. I don't take myself very seriously, but I'd give it my best, and I don't stress out too much. So basically, she enjoyed her life. That's it.
Okay, and then Carol, how would you sum up the life you have lived till now?
Um, I lived in Poland for 6 years, and people will often say to me, what was that like? Did you enjoy it?" And I say, "Well, think of any 6 year slice of your life. Some years are really great, and some years, well, not so good." And that's kind of the way the journey flows. And I've always enjoyed what I've done. It's changed, it's ebbed, it's flowed, and I've kept my eyes open for the opportunities. At the moment, I actually, and this is a bit of a an oxymoron, I have COVID to thank for the job I'm in now. I had retired. I was looking for board opportunities, and they weren't coming along that fast, and it was going to be hard work to find one. And the job that I'm in, so it's the Canadian Audit and Accountability Foundation's in Ottawa. And I said, but the one thing, every now and then you got to find that one thing that you don't want to be flexible on. And for me, it was I had to split my time between Winnipeg and BC to be around some of my family members that needed me. And so I was like, no, I can't do it unless I can do it remotely. So I stuck to that one. And they said, you know what? We've seen it work with COVID. We think it can work. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's great. We have all positive things in COVID if we think that way. And Jesse, how would you sum up your life, whatever you have lived till now?
I think I'm really happy that I align my work to what I believe in. I think I feel real happy about that, real satisfied on that count. The other thing I would say is sometimes one looks for validation in someone, in what you're doing. And I'm glad I didn't wait for that. I think if you follow your conviction, you always people respect conviction. So I'm so happy that I could, and of course circumstances, my family, everything kind of synergized to make for everything to happen. But I'm really happy I followed my dreams.
That's true. Yeah, so that was my set of questions. Thank you so much. I am truly humbled to having a chance to talk to all of you. Thank you. We now have Monica, the director of the Toronto chapter of ICAI. I would request her to give a small thank you note to all of you.
Am I audible, Sama? Sama, am I audible?
Yes, you are. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What a wonderful session it was. Thank you for sharing a treasure of the experience. Your journey is extremely inspiring, not only for a new mother like me, but I'm sure for every one of us. There is a Sanskrit poem I would like to recite. Balika, aham balika, navayuga janita, aham balika. Naham bala durbala, adi shakti, aham ambika. Meaning, I am a girl of modern times. I am not feeble. I am Adi Shakti, meaning I am power. I am Ambika, meaning I am mother. Thank you once again, Honorable Apurva ji, Carol, and Jaskrit ji for this panel discussion. I now request Sama to present our appreciation certificate. Over to you, Sama.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much, Apurva ji. We learned a lot from you. So I know I don't have to be guilty of now being ambitious. Um, thank you so much, Carol. It was truly, truly an honor to talk to you. And your Lifetime Achievement Award now explains like whatever you have given to your journey. It's truly inspiring. And thank you so much, Jesse. Select in, select out. I have it in my mind now. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you here. Thank you so much. Uh,
It was a privilege uh, being part of this discussion.
thank you.
So much. Thank you so
Um,
much. Thank you for inviting us.
okay, and we are right as per our schedule. Um, Okay, a strong woman stands up for herself, but a stronger woman stands up for everybody else. And our next speaker truly believes in being the voice and a change agent. She was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya, and she is an immigrant here, so she knows the issues that all the immigrants face. I know Sandeep has already introduced her. Please welcome the lady with an amazing personality. And when I say amazing, I actually mean it. So we have with us Miss Aarti. Welcome, Aarti.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction and for this lovely opportunity to meet with you and everybody on the committee and all your members. So thank you. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, Aarti, we can all hear you.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So I'm going to start off with Jambo, Namaste, Konnichiwa, Bonjour, and greetings. Greetings to all of you who have joined us today. I know it's morning for some, it's afternoon for some. For those in India, it's still evening or really late at night, or you're already on Saturday. Again, such an amazing way to kick off International Women's Week. This is the first celebration, and I'm so honored, I'm so blessed that I'm here with the presence of all of you. Amazing speakers. Look at the panelists. I mean, here's all my notes, if you can see. Try your best, and it's okay to fail, right? You can do anything. Be yourself. Volunteer. Connect. I mean, I haven't even heard that, but you'll see the theme in what we speak. There's a common theme in what we're all saying. And enjoy life. Life is a journey. Those, I know, Carol, you were in Kenya. Life is like a safari. You're going to have a bumpy ride as you go along. Sometimes it's going to take you 3 hours before you see those lions. And for some of us, it's going to be 5 minutes. But it's a journey. And we're here to enjoy this journey and see where it takes us, right? So in terms of agenda, I heard from Dweep and Sandeep and Ganeshji that this audience loves interaction. So there are going to be some questions that I'll ask you, and if you can please participate via the chat window. Or I see there's that reactions button. I saw some of you putting the clap hands and things like that. So please participate as I ask you questions. From there, I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, where I was and how I came here and what I've been doing. And then as I share my journey, I'll explain this through how I built my personal brand. I will then explain the golden circle. For those of you who haven't heard of the golden circle concept, it starts with why and then followed by how and then what. It is a great TED talk. Simon Sinek explains it really well. And Apple has been very successful in implementing this many years back. And so I'll start off with why. Why building your brand is important. And then I'll share examples of 2 leaders. I started asking a few others, and I heard this from another talk, and I think most of us had the same answer. And you'll see how they built their brand as I share the example. And then I'll end it with 5 simple tips. There's a lot more tips, but I'll condense it to 5. And you heard a lot from the earlier panelists. So let's get started. Are you all ready? with a thumbs up, or I want to see a reaction from everyone. How are you feeling today? Thumbs up. Yeah, I like that. Fantastic. Okay, now that's working. I'm going to open up my chat window because, like I said, there's a lot of chat, a lot of interaction here. Okay, so in the chat, please type in, everyone, please participate. Type in your name. You heard a little bit from all the speakers here about connecting, right? So this is a form of connecting with each other. Please type in your name, the city or country you currently are in, a fun fact about you, just something really short, snappy, right? And then something optional is one thing you'd like to achieve from this talk, or maybe even a barrier you've faced within your career. Because as we go along, I will try and aim towards answering some of these questions as I go along. So a great example, yes, thanks, Carol. Great example, I'm Aarti, I'm from Vancouver, as you see in the last piece. I ride a motorcycle, and what I'd like to see from this talk is your participation. Okay, I see Toronto, I see Victoria, I see Mississauga. Travel 6 different continents, that's fantastic. Keep writing. Vancouver, love that. Quebec. Keep seeing some more, that's awesome. Traveling a lot, oh, that's awesome. Driving really fast. Cool, professor, this is fantastic. Winter camping, I'm still not used to the winter, but yes, one day. Work with youths, that's wonderful. Ah, Kenya, there we go. Thanks, Carol, I didn't know that. Awesome, keep participating, keep adding this. Because at the end of the day, like I said, this is a form of connection. COVID's here, and we're doing this virtually. As you heard earlier on, COVID has changed how we do things, and let's leverage technology to help us connect with each other. There could be something that someone may have said that you would be able to connect, like hiking, right? I do love hiking. That's fantastic. Okay, so a little bit about me, who I am, and my journey. So my name is Aarti, as I was introduced earlier on. I live in Vancouver. And a bit of my background is I was born and raised in Kenya, as you heard earlier on. And it was fantastic when Carol said she was in Kenya, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. In 1997, I asked my dad that I want to go study abroad. I was the youngest, like Honorable Apurvaji. She was also the youngest, you mentioned. And I was the youngest daughter. And, you know, parents are like, are you sure you're going to be on your own? Because they've sheltered me all my life, right? For half my life. And I said, yeah, I want to live on my own. I want to learn to be independent. I want to make my own decisions. Some of us have faced that. And my path, actually, when I was in Kenya, is I initially, during my A levels, I took accounting, economics, and math. And my natural path would have been to take ACCA. So I probably would have been somehow connected to this. And I didn't end up taking accounting. I really ended up taking financial economics. And the reason for that is because 20 years ago, when I graduated and you asked me what I wanted to be, my answer was I wanted to be a stockbroker. There was a big buzz, you know, earlier on about being a stockbroker. It was done differently then, and that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I went to the UK to study. From there, when I graduated in 2001, I started working for an educational charity. And I know most of us who have faced this, being an immigrant, is at that time, I needed to get a job when I was in the UK. And so I figured a way with an organization so that they could have sponsored my work permit, because work permits are really difficult, Canada or UK. These don't come easily. And luckily, through the connections, as you heard from Kara earlier on, she talked about her connections, and that's what's led her to opportunities. And that's what led me to my opportunity working there under a visa. And I started working for an educational charity, which is to go in and get sponsorship from organizations. And the idea was to bridge the gap between students and the workforce in terms of their soft skills. And then in 2004, my husband and I, we went back to Kenya. We got married, had the small wedding of 500 people, and we got married and we moved to Canada. My husband moved 2 years earlier because he was settling down before I did. And pretty much at that time, we literally looked at the Canadian map, went far west. We didn't go as far as Victoria, but far west to Vancouver, because I see some people here are in from Victoria. And we chose Vancouver. A couple of reasons. We weren't ready for the snow in Toronto. Sorry for those who are in Toronto and Montreal. But we decided Vancouver. And the other reason is my husband had an aunt, and we said, at least there's some family nearby. And that's why we chose Vancouver. Now, most of you have said this, that you've been an immigrant new into Canada. And one thing that I think we can all relate, and I know someone when we talked 2 days ago, we all could relate. As a new immigrant, you're new into the country. What do you want to do? You just need a job because you have expenses that don't go away and you want to settle down really fast. And the common objection we always get, and I think most of us who have been immigrants, is you either don't get a response or you're told you don't have Canadian experience. Even today, I still don't know what that means, you don't have Canadian experience. But it's okay. We start learning from our journey, right? Like I said, it's like a safari. And every time you get hit, you try and figure it out. So I started to network because in the UK, it was very much about what's on your resume. It's not about connecting. It's your credentials is what's going to get you your job back then in 2001. So I said, let me just start networking. I met a friend who then she introduced me to a recruitment agency. And then from that recruitment agency, I met a recruitment consultant. We connected straight away because there was something common. She was also from the UK. She had the strong British accent, and so did I. And we connected so well. Her name was Samantha. And she said, I've got this position, because I said, I need a job really fast. And she said, I've got this position, but we're hiring. But it is an entry-level position. So you'll have to take a step back, because I know you were a manager. I can't get you that manager position at this organization. And I said, you know what? I think all of us can relate. Just get me a job. I don't care what it is. And that's what happened is she said it's in cybersecurity. I paused and I said, okay. I remember cybersecurity because in university, my floppy disk, the square floppy disk, got corrupted. And the best thing about that was I hadn't done much work in my project, but it had delayed. Through that virus, I went to my professor and I said, hey, my disk got corrupted and I don't know what to do, because it was still early days of viruses. And he gave many of us who had this impact, this virus, it was in 2000, this virus, it was a virus that was going out viral. And he said, yes, many of you have been impacted. You get an extension. So the virus saved the day and I was super excited. So I got more time. And that's all I knew about the cybersecurity space. And today I work for BugCrowd. It's a company. So I've worked for several other companies since moving here in 2004. About a year and a half, I joined a company called BugCrowd. But I should have mentioned this earlier. Everything that I'm sharing today is my personal viewpoints and not of my employer. So outside of my role, on the other side, I'm passionate about influencing a change to close the diversity gap in STEM and in leadership. I began working on my journey to get onto corporate boards. I was introduced to an executive and he told me that you need more experience. How many of you hear that often in your journey? Put a thumbs up. Yeah, exactly. And it made me puzzle. I was curious. At that time, I was 40 years old and I was like, what does it mean to have more experience? Do I have to wait till I retire and then I can be qualified to get onto corporate boards? I was curious. So I started my research. I found out there was a lack of diversity. You heard Honorable Purvaji had talked earlier on of what barriers that women face. There was a lack of diversity in company boards. I spoke to other women in my network, and I found for some of them, they were interested, they just didn't know how. For other women, they said, oh, it's not for me yet. I'll wait, because that's what the image was. I'll wait till I'm ready to retire. And this is what led me, because I still wasn't on a board, but I said, you know, we've got to solve this. We've got to start increasing and creating awareness. And this led me to start up Stand Out to Lead, which is to increase diversity on boards as I partnered up with Women Get On Board to deliver these workshops. So yeah, I can see some comments there. And exactly, it's sometimes when you're told you're given that barrier, pause for a minute and see, how could you either A, speak up? I know I've been told on my career, your location is a barrier. Look at today, pandemic, right? They said you need to move to Toronto for those nice jobs. Look at the pandemic. We've just proved we can all work remotely. So speak up. I still, even today during the pandemic, someone said, well, if you want to work for us, you need to move. I'm like, who cares? So I questioned and I said, you know what? This company is not for me. It's not the right fit, right? But question and educate. The next phase of my journey, once I started Stand Out to Lead and started working, and just to take on that note, my first year when I created this workshop, and I said to Deborah, I said, oh, I'm in sales. I can get a room full of 50 people here. Don't worry. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy because in our mind frame, we're still thinking it's not for us. We're not ready. When we're ready, we'll get there. Carol brought this up as well. And the key thing there is don't wait, right? If it's something you're interested in, remember, it will take time before you get there. And maybe you might not even get to that path. But when you start thinking about it now, start working on it and start preparing. My second year at Stand Out to Lead, the second conference that I organized, sold out the seats because the first one was the hardest. I barely got 10 women. Second one, I sold out the seats. It was easy. I got a sponsor to pay for it. And I also made a little bit of money in this. Now, the idea for Stand Out to Lead was not to make money, right? And I'll share later on why. I'll share a little bit later on of what any money that I make, where it's going to. And so the next phase in my journey was to increase more women in cybersecurity. And research has consistently shown that diversity inclusive workplaces experience higher engagement, performance, and results. In our industry, in the cybersecurity industry, we only have 20% women. I knew I needed to do something within that organization since they only had 20%. And that's what made me start up She Sharing Her Empowerment. I didn't have any title, by the way. I'm still a salesperson. I didn't wait until I get to executive to do something. I wanted to change. I wanted to influence a change within the organization. And I learned through my bumpy ride the power of a collective voice through my own experience. And I know Ganeshji has heard the story from one of the events we met initially. And through that, I said, okay, you know what? There's huge power, right? Here I am saying something, but if we have 20 voices, there's power in that. So I started this up by leveraging the power of collective voices to influence a change within the organization. It started off first, the idea was, let's bring awareness within the organization to all employees that there is a gap. It then led to being invited to present at boards, at the company board. So it was not only just to leaders and employees, but to board members who were also venture capitalists. And it got them thinking, because today at boards, oftentimes this is not a topic that's front and center in every board agenda. It's starting to become, but it wasn't there before. And then the next piece in my journey, so last year, the first time ever in Canada, IT World and with SECRA worked on an initiative, which is to have awards to recognize women in cybersecurity who are paving the path for future generations. There were 177 nominations. And I was really excited to receive the award, being the top 20 women in cybersecurity award. And for me, this is not about being in the spotlight. This is about inspiring others to join us, make a difference. You heard from Jessie of her path and how she's making a difference. And I will tell you, this award has helped me be a voice. Make a change, be that change agent, and continue to pay it forward. And then lastly, the fun side, I love to educate about our culture. So you'll see on LinkedIn my post, which is titled Fulka Roti. You'll know that I enjoy cooking. And the big thing is, I hear working moms, right? Someone on the panel mentioned how you have to balance your life and you're a working mom and things like that. And sometimes you're not viewed accordingly, right? People just have that image and it's okay. So I go out and I show them I'm making roti, but I show them in a way and I teach and educate them that by making roti here, let me explain the soft skills. I use this in interviews. The soft skills I've learned from making that roti is I'm applying it into work. How am I applying these soft skills into work, right? What are the skills you gain from making roti? Multitasking, because while you're rolling, it has to be cooking at the same time. And then efficiency, because you can't wait till it cooks, then you roll, because then you're wasting gas. In Kenya, my mom was like, no wasting gas, right? Because that costs. So efficiency, cost savings, accuracy, because mom always said those rotis had to be completely round, perfectly round. So there's a lot of soft skills that you learn from your journey of experiences that you can apply into the workforce. And that's why I like to share my personal journey of making roti or other things that I do on LinkedIn of how we're using these soft skills and transferring it into the workplace, helping us stand out. Okay, so as Ganeshji mentioned that before, he said all the audience is accounting professionals. So I know I needed to do a little bit of homework and understand this industry because I knew when I was studying it back in school, I knew that. And then, 20, 22 years after, I've kind of lost track of what's happening in this industry. So I read this article from Catalyst that referenced that half of Canadian in accounting professions are women. So I went to see the global numbers, and there was a statistic that women studying accounting is close to parity. So I'm like, okay, so you've gotten, gender parity in terms of the number of professionals, you've gotten parity in terms of those who are graduating. And then I was like, okay, that's awesome. I want to learn more. And then in that article, it highlighted that among the UK's largest accounting firms, which includes the Big Four, women are 42% of managers, but only 17% are of partners. I looked at that stat, I'm like, In cybersecurity, in my industry, we keep saying we only have 20% of women in our industry. It got me thinking because in our industry, we're thinking, and there's some thoughts from leaders, why there aren't enough women in leadership position in our industry. And one thought that has been shared is because we need more women to join. We need to reach parity so that when we get more women to join, we can promote them and so forth. So many companies were focusing on implementing that Rooney rule. 50% candidates need to be women. And then once we fix that, there will be more women available to get onto leadership. And to me, I look at that, well, you already have the pool. So that got me. I was like, okay, now I'm really intrigued. Ganeshji got me into this and he said, I want you to speak, but it got me intrigued and it got me to learn a lot actually through this last 2 weeks. I questioned, you still have the same problem we have, which is there aren't enough women in leadership. So on February 25th, I remember I received just two weeks ago, I received this email from someone as a connection request. In LinkedIn, you get these connection requests and you see, okay, should I accept or should I not? I accepted his message because in his profile, in the short, 200 words that you get, he wrote, I saw your profile on LinkedIn and thought it might be a good idea to connect as my company is very involved in the IT industry. And we're always looking to see what others are doing. So I just accepted it, right? You just say, okay, fine, let me accept. Then he sent another email asking me if I wanted a report for Stand Out to Lead. Ignore. I got a third email from him. And he asked me if I ever compared two similar companies of the same revenue size and then learn why there was a difference in the bottom line. And he was offering to help out Stand Out to Lead to be profitable. I was going to ignore it, but his title was a partner and he had CPA. Because I was preparing for this, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me respond, because I ignored him 3 times. I'm like, let me respond and let me share with him, right? So I wrote back to him and I said, hey, I really appreciate your reach out. Stand Out to Lead's focus is not to make profits. But when I do make profits, which I did last year, I donated it to family in India to help girls with the education. You heard what Jesse's already doing. And eventually I want to build this virtual school because COVID has got me to think a little bit. I was thinking about how do I build a school in some of these areas in India. But now with COVID, it's got me to think differently. I want to build this virtual school where my dad and grandparents lived. And it's a small place called Cambodia. And I wanted to give that opportunity to be able to teach girls to become ethical hackers. Right? Because I'm in cybersecurity. In fact, if you see 17-year-old, he made $1 million. Ethical hacking is good, right? You're helping companies find the holes in the organization before the unethical hackers find it, right? So I want to be able to do this because you don't need like these long degrees and things like that. You just need a different mindset to see some of the problems. So if I can create this virtual school, have girls interested in this, they'll see from their perspective, they'll be able to see some of the gaps in the code that could create future breaches. That will help the girls there earn this money because it's every finding you get money. Companies pay people for that. And that will help build that community. How do we take that community from where it is to where it could be? So I shared this with him and I said, well, if you can help me with that, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'm not a good client for you. However, I'm interested in speaking to you as you have the title of partner. And I'm interested to hearing your viewpoints on why there are only 17% women who are partners in your field based on a search that I saw in the UK. And I see some people I've seen some other stats in there. And why there aren't enough CFOs, I started digging a little bit. Why aren't there enough women who are CFOs or leadership? I was puzzled, right? And he agreed. And I also shared with him, I'm going to be speaking on Saturday, by the way. I said I have this presentation I'm preparing. So on Wednesday, we had a great chat and he gave me his viewpoints. And then also reached out to another friend of mine. She's in Calgary and she's a qualified CPA. Her husband is a CFO as well, qualified CPA. And I asked her the same question. The reason why I did that is I wanted to see through different lenses what the problem is. And oftentimes you'll see there'll be differences in what a woman will say is the problem, what a male will say is the problem. Now, one thing that was common is they both explained the qualification process. They explain that, you need the experience and then you need all these qualifications. And then by the time you're eligible for CFO position, you'd be probably around 37. Public companies, you'd be around 40 at the age of 40. And then she shared, and I think Apurva had mentioned this, and she shared women, and even Monica, new mom, right? You shared this earlier on, that women are taking maternity leave. So you have a 7-year gap. And that leave doesn't count towards your years. So you're starting back from, if you're 30, right? You're starting back, 23. And I was like, okay, that's interesting to hear that both sides said that. And these are things that, I don't know what the solution is, but it's creating that awareness. How could those years of maternity leave, when women have taken time off, can also be added towards the existing experience so that you're not held back? And she also shared with me, she shared her experience, and between her and her husband, who are both CFO-like positions, she shared one thing, which got me intrigued. And she said, her husband gets invited by the banks to go golfing. But until today, she's never received an invitation. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Okay. I wonder why. But what I learned was that it doesn't matter what industry you're in. One thing is quite clear, that promoting gender diversity is important. We all agree it is really important, but it's easier said than done. Unconscious bias, generation gender bias, and systemic barriers exist for underrepresented groups, including women. My mission is to break down these barriers and boundaries to achieve equality for underrepresented groups in STEM and in leadership. And my hope is to inspire everyone that no matter what you're faced with, stay authentic. Jessie said that, be you, be yourself. Speak up for equality and don't be afraid of the outcome. I think one of the panelists said, be fearless. So I'll share a story of how we came up with this topic, building your personal brand, and how it relates to today. Ganeshji and I met virtually. This was back in November. We've never met actually face-to-face other than this Zoom meetup. And this was a keynote that I was speaking on a topic that was called Breaking Boundaries, Influencing a Change Through She. After that event, Ganeshji reached out to me on LinkedIn as a connection request, and he said, thank you. You know, in that connection request, you only get a few words that you can say. He said, thank you, I attended your keynote. I accepted. There were lots of individuals that reached out, so I accepted. And he wrote again to me with such a positive note. And Ganeshji, I hope you're okay me reading this out, because it was such a positive note. And I'll share the importance of this, right? Because for those who are allies, I want to share what Ganeshji did. And he said, I attended your and your team's presentation to the conference that I was there. And I couldn't help but write to you what energy you brought to the platform. Excellent job. So happy to know such talented individuals. And he said, I too am in IT. I'm in IT audit and IT security. Not sure how I can help, but please don't hesitate to contact if there's anything I can do with your mission. Okay. And first I was like, wow, he actually took that extra step to write to me and to think. And he offered some help. And, you know, many times you offer help and, you know, someone offers you help, say, no, I'm okay, I got it. But I was like, oh no, you're offering me help, absolutely. So, you know what my ask was? And I said, thank you, Ganeshji. And I said, please share this message. Talk to others, talk to the other allies, talk to friends, educate, increase awareness, and be a change agent with us. Pay it forward as we want to help others. And Ganeshji replied, now he didn't tell me he's already helping others. He didn't tell me that. And he said, absolutely, I'm committed to this. And I know he does a lot, but he didn't mention any of that. Now I can tell you one thing is there's a difference between saying yes and actually doing it. As they say, actions speak louder than words. And at the end of January, Ganeshji replies to me, he's taking action. He committed. And he informed me about this event. And he shares with me that he would like me to speak. And this is taking action because he and the rest of the committee here that introduced themselves earlier on have organized this event. And I said, this is amazing because usually International Women's Day, it's women that are organizing it. But here, it's actually men that are taking the lead. And they were thinking about this in January. Usually they wait until it's the day and then everyone remembers and then they forget after it's done, right? This is way back he was remembering. He committed and he wants to give back. He wants to help break the barriers. In doing so, he's paving the path for future generations. And when he called me, we were brainstorming. I said, what would you like me to talk about? Tell me a little bit more. And somehow in the conversation, I threw out and I said, I'm an introvert. And I think some of you may relate to this. I like my quiet time. I love doing my puzzles at home. I like my small group of friends where we get together. I don't like partying in these large groups. And Ganeshji goes, no, Aarti. I don't believe you're an introvert. Most of you might even say that because I'm speaking like here. And I said to him, well, Ganeshji, what you're seeing is my passion. And my passion, which is ultimately my brand. That's what you're seeing. And that's why we agreed on the importance of this topic and how to build your personal brand. So thank you, Ganeshji, and the rest of the committee for inviting me to speak. So let's go into why, back to that golden circle. Why is this important? So I'm going to share a few pictures of women. And as I share the first picture, we're going to pause. So I want to see what you think about them. So let's start off with Asha Bhosle. Close your eyes, and what's the first thing that comes to mind? If you want to open your eyes now, type in exactly, right? Thanks, Anish. Yeah. Her voice, songs, absolutely. Next one, Kamala Harris. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Next one, Malala Yousafzai. Yeah, I love this. I love what everyone's writing in the chat. Next one, Mother Teresa. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Peace, loving. Last one, Anusha Ansari. Her dream was to go to space. Yeah, science. There we go. That's fantastic. So as you can see, let's start off with why, right? Let's look at Asha Bhosle. She created her brand for her passion in singing. Kamala Harris, she was passionate to make a change, being the first woman of color to be elected as vice president. Malala, she began her fight for girls, for a free, safe, quality education, and she created a fund. Mother Teresa, she was known for her passion to help those who are less fortunate in life so they have a place to go. She changed the course of history and brought the spotlight on this important issue. And Anusha Ansari, her dream was to go outer space. No one believed she could go to space, and she proved them wrong. I sat actually in 2019. She was here, and she was a keynote at one of the conferences here, and it was outstanding. If you even Google a little bit, you'll see one of her drawings from the young age. She had that passion of her drawings, and she was the first woman unaffiliated with any agency to fly into space. And as you can see, one thing that's common between all these five, it's not about what their title is. It's not about what their background is. It's not whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. What you see is their brand, which is their passion. That's what you see. So what's the impact of the brand? There's so many reasons, as you can see for each and every one of them, is that they're inspiring their audience. Even if one person gets inspired, we're helping them with their overall mission and ultimately making this a better world full of equal opportunities. Second thing is opens up opportunities. What opportunity has this opened up for each one of them? Think about it. None of them changed who they were. I'll bring back, Jesse mentioned, be you, be yourself. They didn't change their values. They didn't change their purpose. They stayed true to who they were. As you reflect on your own brand, it's important to reflect and do this through your passion. It will open up opportunities. Don't think I need this I want to progress because I want this promotion. Think about your why. Build your brand. Connect it to your passion. For me, being here, it opened up the opportunity for me to learn about the different industries. And I can now learn what's happening in the accounting field and figure out how can we solve the problem in cybersecurity. I don't know where this is going to take me. Like I said, it's a safari. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that I hope to inspire you to find that passion, to go fulfill your dreams. but do it in a way where you're not changing your values. Be you, be yourself, stay authentic. And thirdly, at the same time, speak up. Don't be afraid of the outcome. Each and every one of them spoke up. I don't think some of them probably didn't even like public speaking. And you don't have to speak up by being on stage like here, us as the panelists or myself here. There's so many different ways you can speak up and share your voice. No one believed them. They weren't born famous. You don't need to be famous in order to build your brand. And lastly, to highlight a great quote from Jeff Bezos, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. None of these women are in the room, but we all know what their brand is. So now that I've explained why it's important and the impact it has, let's move into how. So a little bit in terms of how. Let's look at two women. Both of them are first ladies, served at the White House. Completely different approach. So let me ask you a question. Of these two women, Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama, who do you admire the most, or who do you think is most popular? Michelle or Hillary? Michelle. Yeah, I already see 4. 1 Hillary. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, absolutely. And if you see this, the difference between both of them is how each one connected to their audience. If you read Michelle's book, Becoming, she used social media to connect. You heard from Carol, she talked about how she connected through traveling to different cities. You see Michelle Obama, she's rapping in a carpool karaoke that went viral. She's dancing on the Ellen show. She's showing that she's a mom. You don't need to have the corporate look. You don't need to be the one that presents on stage, as I said earlier on, and be visible. Whether you share your voice through a blog, through writing, or through a collective voice, or through your project, the different ways that you can share your voice. And it doesn't have to be networking after office hours. Think of ways of how you can share your passion through various different channels. So this is a way to think about how you could do this. Now I'm going to go to the last piece, which is 5 tips to build on how to build your brand. So first and foremost, share your passion through your story. You've heard several different stories here today. And don't share it because you want a promotion. Share your passion. As I shared my story that most of you could connect when we first moved here, we took ourselves back to, it was hard getting a job because quite a few of us are immigrants and it was tough. It's hard to get a job, and we could connect and we could relate to that. Today, I go out of my way to make sure when I see new immigrants into the country, I share how to help them get interviews. Last week, I worked with this female, and she was struggling. She was also from India. She was struggling with getting a job offer. She was either, same thing, not getting responses. And when she did, she got an interview. It didn't lead to an offer letter. And I spoke to her and I said, there's one small trick you can use. And I asked her, tell me about the person who is going to interview you. And so we went onto LinkedIn. Everything's on LinkedIn now. And this individual, and I said, tell me a little bit, how can you connect? So she went and said, oh yeah, he's worked here, he's done these qualifications, things like that. And I said, let's not look at his qualifications, because you, along with 10 others, have the same qualifications. How are you going to connect with this individual? And that sparked her. She saw that this individual speaks several different languages, and so does she. And so in her interview, she started off that way. And they had something common because they were able to connect and relate to each other with several different languages. There's something there different. And that made her stand out from the rest of the other 10 applications or interviews that she was competing against. And just a few days ago, she sent me a note and she said, I received an offer letter, and I was so excited. Connect with your audience. It's so important, just how you saw from Michelle Obama. The second one is be authentic. Speak up, share your story. but do it in a way that's authentic. As I mentioned, don't change who you are. Keep your values. You saw all those 5 women there. You saw from our panelists. You could see their passion. Keep your purpose. Don't change who you are. And my story, back in 2005, there was this, when I was working for that organization, I was applying for the next level up into the organization, and they made me do this personality test. And in sales, it was perceived that those who have the gift of the gab, those who talk the most, are the ones who are successful in sales. I was like, no, it's listening and curiosity. So I answered it the way I was. My manager had told me before, he gave me a tip and he said, by the way, it's those answers that will lead you to your next interview. And I knew going into this, I'm going to answer the way I am. I came down into that category of not the personality type A. And I did not get that job. I did not get that promotion. But it's okay. Someone else gave me the opportunity. And I proved that director wrong. Because 2 years later, he was knocking on my door saying, please come work for me. But I didn't. Stay true to yourself. Network, the third one. Pandemic has helped us. Like I said, this is a great way. I'm seeing chat, right? How can we network with each other? How can we connect with each other after this? Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Reach out to all of us on LinkedIn, to all the other members who have joined. It's helped, right? And networking doesn't have to be, because now we're all on the same level. You can't go out anyways, right? Sandeep mentioned that we're all at home earlier on. You said can't go out. So even if the weather's nice, we're still stuck at home. Fourth, find a mentor. And I will tell you, this is so important. It changed my life. I know someone had said, you know what, one of her questions, and one of the things that changed my life, it got me to see and believe in myself. And it's not because of my mentor, but it got me to see what I didn't see in myself. And my mentor is not a coach. My mentor is helping me see things that I don't see. And my mentor is not there to help me get a promotion. I would highly recommend find a mentor. Find a sponsor within the organization. Take that time, invest. How many of you actually have a mentor today? Let's see on the chat. Take that half an hour, 1 hour a month, and dedicate time. Reach out to somebody within the organization. Just ask them, will you be my mentor? And you will see so many opportunities arise as a result of that. In fact, last year, one of our CMOs, we did reverse mentoring. I was like, why would I mentor him? But it was fantastic. It was fantastic. What we ended up doing is we built this opportunity, which is called Mentor Match, so that people can find their mentors. And then lastly is promote your brand, right? I think Apurvaji had mentioned this as well, is don't be afraid about this. Share, be ambitious, be fearless, share this with everybody. Do it and share your passion. Don't be afraid to share your brand as you build it. Go share this. And remember, one thing for sure is, to sum up, is Rome wasn't built in a day. We cannot close the gap overnight, but with every one of us speaking up and doing our part, it will happen over time. But it will take each and every one of us, or it won't happen at all. And to close the gap, as we're celebrating International Women's Day, I'd like to end on my quote: gender diversity should not be a woman's problem to solve. I love to see how the committee members here, mostly men, were organizing this ahead of time, right? It's fantastic. It shouldn't be an HR problem to handle. It shouldn't be a legislation. We shouldn't wait for legislation to come up where, you know, in some states, they have legislation. You need to have X percentage of women on your leadership team. And we shouldn't wait for a movement to occur. It should be everybody's problem to solve. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for your time. I really appreciate your time. I'm open for questions. I don't know how much time I have for questions, but I'll I'll pass this back to Saman, because I'm here to answer any questions.
We thank you so much, Aarti. We do have 2-3 minutes more, to be precise. So if you have any questions from the audience, we can take it.
Okay. Were there any other questions that I missed? Kept looking back and forth.
Oh, no. Everyone was just enjoying your session.
Okay, give me a question. Anyone else on the audience? Anything that's on your mind? What taught you more in life, your success or your failures? You know, it's interesting. I can start and then open it up to the other panelists. Failure is one of those words whereby I always question myself, define failure. And if you've done something like making roti, I could make it in half an hour. Is that defined as failure because somebody else can make it in 20 minutes? No. But if I continue over practice and now I can make it in 20 minutes, to me, that 30 minutes is not failure. It's actually over time practice. So for me, just to answer a little bit onto that, is what taught you more in life? I think everything, failure and success, right? Even when you feel success, there's always other things you learn about it. So that's my answer. Maybe open it up to the other panelists on that question.
I'll jump in. I just, it's funny. I think I've probably learned more. Well, I don't know. I learned from it all. I wish I could drop the even thinking about the negative stuff faster than I do. It plays on my mind more than it should. And when something doesn't go the way you hoped it would, I find I play it over and could have done this, could have done that, whatever. Don't let it hold you back or anything. But it is good if you can find a way to get rid of it, because it is learn from it, but then get rid of it, because it can play on your mind for far too long and influence things unnecessarily. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aarti, and thank you so much, Carol, for that. I would now request Avnish Shah, the chapter secretary for the ICAI Toronto chapter, to say a small thank you note to Aarti.
Thank you so much, Tama. I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Aarti, thank you so much for sharing your personal story. I think the small little chore of making a roti, how you made it more relevant, I think all of us will associate a lot with it, about taking small learnings from there and applying it in our day-to-day life. And overall, this session was really interactive. All the audience had good time just answering your questions. I think all of us have this amazing takeaway of the 5 tips you shared for creating your personal brand. One is sharing your passion, connect with your audience, be authentic, network. I think that is something that is very close to my heart, and I'm going to continue to lean on that. And we many times do underestimate the power of having a mentor or a sponsor. I have been very lucky to have a mentor early on in my life in Canada. So I completely, agree and completely support the tips that you share, that to make these tips for, promoting the personal brand. So thank you so much, Aarti. You brought all those relevant points together, and it was an amazing session. We would also like to present a note and a token of appreciation for your time. Thank you so much again, Aarti. Would you like to say 2 words? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Such a pleasure being here, and definitely feel free for everyone to connect and continue connecting. And thanks again for this opportunity to share my journey.
Amazing. I would like to now invite our BC chapter's chairman, Ganesh ji, to give final note of thanks. Over to you, Ganesh ji.
Ganesh ji, just before we go in, can everybody sort of put their camera on, just get ready for a photograph? That'll be great. Thank you. Please go ahead, Ganesh ji. We'll take the photo after your chat. You're on mute.
Now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. Honorable CGI Apurva Srivastava ji, Vice President ICAI Devashish Mitra ji, respected panelists Carol, Jaskirat, Aarti, my fellow members for 2 chapters. A very good afternoon to you, all of you all. Friends, all the panelists have done exceedingly well in their respective fields. Mrs. Apurva Srivastava, as you all know, is our Consul General representing the Government of India here in Toronto, Canada. Carol has been holding very high government positions. For example, she has been the Auditor General of at least 2 provinces in the country. I know of Manitoba and British Columbia also. And Carol was the Auditor General a few years before in Winnipeg, Manitoba, for the province of Manitoba. I began working for that office a few years before. And of course, I can see Jaskir did very well also, moving and living in different countries and facing different challenges. Jaskir's Indian community here in Canada is very proud of you. Congratulations. I want to say some quotes here from our speakers. Those really inspired me. Definitely, I will be benefited by those quotes, particularly one from our Consulate General, who she said, it's okay to be not okay. I mean, I do feel sometimes I make some mistakes, and I think it's okay to be making those mistakes. Don't feel embarrassed, don't feel bad. If you not make mistakes, we won't definitely improve. So thank you, Consulate General Apurva Srivastava, to say those words, it's okay to be not okay. And there's some few more quotes I'm reading here. Be yourself, stay authentic, speak up, stand for yourself, promote your brand, network. So friends, these are really wonderful quotes for everyone to emulate. And I think if we do that, I'm sure we are going to benefit ourselves, our families, our friends, and everyone. So these would be definitely very, very inspiring words for times to come, for all, for man, for women, for anyone. And I want to say here, friends, why only for women? Why only we need to say these things for the women? Even we as men should keep trying our best to realize the potential each one of us has and bring up the best in us. Let's also try to do best, and let's celebrate that thing as we go forward. So, and the other sentence I want to say here is there's always room for improvement for each of us. Does not matter man, woman, girl, boy, or whatever. I think, and I'm reminded of this saying from our earlier late Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi. I do remember her saying this: there is always place for improvement in each of us. We can do that. So friends, I have been fortunate to see Aarti present in the past also. It has always been a pleasure to listen to her and see the passion and the energy she brings to her presentations. Thank you, Aarti. Really appreciate it very much. We are especially thankful to our ICAI Vice President, Sri Debashish Mitra ji, who addressed us at that unearthly hour. It is always a pleasure to hear from the top torch bearers of our alma mater, ICAI. Their words of encouragement also and always help us to do even better. And I also would like to thank our MC, Sama, and of course, Avani and other people on the managing committee of the 2 chapters, British Columbia chapter of ICAI, as also the Toronto chapter of ICAI. So friends, with this, I would like to thank once again all of you for making this event as a great success. Have a wonderful day ahead and look forward to see you at some of like this further upcoming events. So thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ganesh ji, for those kind words. Thank you, everyone who was part of this event. Thank you, Apurva ji, Carol, Aarti, Jesse ji, and the chairmen. Thank you so much for being a part of this. On behalf of the entire team, I really am humbled to host all of you. Have a great weekend and have a great
we are
day.
taking photos, Sama. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Can we have a group photo, please? Please switch on the cameras, everyone. Come on, come on. That's like it. Come on, everyone. Yeah. So cheese and happy International Women's Day as we take this picture. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Take care.